And welcome to another episode of Meet the Falcons. I'm Steve Shard, joined here today by men's volleyball head coach Curtis Madson. Thanks for joining me today, Coach.
Thanks, Steve. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing? Sitting outside, I see.
Sitting outside, and you got to enjoy the beautiful weather when you can.
90 plus today. You were talking before we got on here. You got the pool out last night and filled it up so your kid can do some cannonballs today.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll get Connor out there and let him splash for a while, so we'll be good.
Got to do everything they can. How have you been doing in this time of COVID-19 and everything's different? How is the recruiting and keeping in contact with your team been going?
It's different. It's the first time that, anyone can remember that, even our youth programs have shut everything down. So just getting used to the new ways and how we go about what we need to do took a little bit. Obviously, staying in contact with our team, I'll be honest, I think we're doing a better job than we have ever. It's forced us to have more conversations. We do essentially, individual meetings here and there, and then team meetings every couple weeks if we need them, keep them updated, emailing and working through it. The communication has been really good through that. With the team, the hardest part I've struggled is we really like to stress our academics here and help our guys and work through it. So that was just a different way to go because we didn't have the same contact points that we normally would while guys were finishing up semesters and working through and going through that. But, we've done our best to keep in communication. Recruiting's been, we've kind of found how we want to go about it, and we worked our niche, and we've got a couple more things we're going to start working through. And it's, I guess, we can focus on the challengings. I guess it's been refreshing because it's forced us to relook at things and get creative and go back to the drawing board and broaden what we do. And so I think there's some positives that can be taken out of this and just how we function in general as a program, recruiting with our team going forward. I think there's going to be some things we've implemented in this time of uncertainty that we're going to take forward with us in the future that we think are becoming some best practices that even our guys are liking. So that's a positive, I can say.
From a recruiting standpoint, in a normal year, you're able to have your guys come to campus and actually watch them, have them watch you play, or maybe come to a practice. That is not able to happen. How have you been able to, I guess, get creative or contact some of your colleagues to see what they're doing to keep the recruits engaged or maybe do things differently other than texting them and emailing them all the time, which can get old after a while?
We've kind of pushed. I'm sorry, I live by the airport. We try to push, Zoom meetings, and it's just an open line of communication. I mean, The real big difference for me is not necessarily the communication piece outside of the gym. At this point in the year, especially sitting here and going through May and June, we would have had Illinois high school season that we'd have been out in a bunch, seeing these guys on the court, having those conversations there. We'd be kicking up. The club would be ramping up again here. We'd be in more gyms there. I'd normally be preparing for my trip out to West Coast Championships, our trip out to Junior Nationals to go see the kids and do all those things. So really, it's just how we've been able to expand our net and see, because we're not getting those in-person things. So just finding different ways to find these athletes out there that we would be finding in person normally via the internet, via different channels. A lot of emails back and forth with different clubs doing that. Evan's done a great job for us during this and grinding, and he's creating databases of contact points in here. We've just kind of really pushed it, and I'll be honest, it's helped us get our brand out there more than just I think than we normally have. And so we just tried to focus on the positive and trudge forward and keep working with it. But we set up the Zooms, we set up the calls. The nice thing about Zoom, actually, for summer recruiting, opposed to like if we were doing recruiting now and having guys come in, is we can have our athletes meet with the guys just as they would if they came up on a regular Tuesday during the year, where typically if someone came on a summer visit, we may not have an athlete in the area to be there to meet with them. So we've been able to add some things to our summer or post school year recruiting experience that we didn't have before, understanding that we're going to lose some of those in-person experiences with on campus, being able to see the campus in person and some of that stuff. So we've been working to just try to add, for every piece that's been lost, we're trying to add a piece back in to make it as full of an experience as we can.
One thing I wanted to ask you that you and your team do very well is social media.
Mm-hmm.
I guess why put such an importance or a value on that, and what are you trying to get out of it?
One, we're trying to get out our guys. We're trying to promote our program, our guys with all the hard work they get in, make sure people know where it is. And honestly, it's social media is how a lot of people consume things right now. I mean, I wouldn't lie, it's a recruiting tool. The more we can get out, the more we can put out, the more people can see what we're about and what we're doing. And we're lucky that in year 3 here, we're doing a lot of positive things and we're putting out a lot of positive things. It's not as much spin work as we've had in the past of hey, we're a growing program. We're here.
Yeah.
We're doing well. We've got things we can put out. Our guys make us proud daily. So why not put it out there and get it out there? We're going to hear in the coming weeks, launch our own Instagram Q&A with some athletes. We've got a bunch of guys that want to jump in and do that. And we're going to use that in part of our recruiting thing and push our recruits there to ask questions and get involved. I just think it's another, way to evolve what we're doing. I mean, I look back, when I graduated in the early 2000s, we sent VHS tapes out because you didn't have DVDs, right? And everything's kind of evolved and went here. And now, coaches use notebooks and wrote notes on paper. And now we have apps. And I don't know how the coaches when in the early 2000s did it where I'm at. And I just think it's part of that evolution. And I think social media is a great place to reach out and connect with recruits, alumni when we have them, family members and things like that. It's just a great way to engage and get into that, down to earth conversations that I think are really important in getting out who we are and what we're about.
One thing I really admire about your program is that you guys work extremely hard from season to season, day to day. You also like to have some fun. Can you talk a little bit about the championship belt for those that don't know about it? And then maybe we had put together a video of you jumping in at practice a little bit, getting after it. Can you talk about some of those things?
Well, here, how about this? We can do this while we talk about it.
Well, that's good. I was hoping that would happen.
We got it here. We'll get this in there for you. So let me get out of the way of my terrible play here. So really, where the championship belt idea came from was just from year one. We struggled trying to figure out an identity, a culture, who we were with captains, because when we were year one, everybody in our program had never been a college athlete. Nobody had played before. Nobody knew what to expect. We didn't have that leadership of what we wanted to do and guys to follow the right path, right? So after year one, I was thinking about different things because culture is the most important thing, because culture drives what you do. And so we created the Ultimate Falcon. And it's something that we do every week, pretty much from the first, organizational team meeting when we get on campus all the way through. So we'll let that run one more time, and then we won't make everybody have to watch that. Hey, that's what happens when someone gets a cramp real quick, and we got to get a drill to jump in and go.
Show them how it's done.
But and so I sat down with at the time Dylan Berry, our graduate assistant at that time, and kind of talked to it. I said, I want to come up with something fun, just something lighthearted, but to get to the core of what we're trying to do. And so we created the Ultimate Falcon. We went online and found a custom belt shop. And the really thing that I think is the coolest about the belt is that it's got photos on it, and it's from our very first year. Actually, all the the main photo is from our very first match we played as a program, and it's our team huddle. It's those guys that were there and helped us do it. And I think that's a important, cool thing for guys going forward to just remember where we are. I'm a big one of my favorite quotes is Jim Valvano's during his speech, his SB speech. Where'd you come from, where you are, and where do you want to be? And I think that's an important piece to remember, where we came from. And that was our humble beginnings. And so what we do is each week we send out a SurveyMonkey to our guys. The coaches are not involved in voting at all. It's up to our guys. It's a simple SurveyMonkey. It's choose the player and why. What reason were they the Ultimate Falcon of the week? What from a culture standpoint, what did they do? And some was, hey, my car broke down and he got out in the cold and he jumped my car, or he did this, or all the way down to this. It's not about who gets the most kills. It's not about who played the best. It's about who represented what we want to be and who we want to be the best that week. Because there's enough playing awards out there, and there's enough of those things out there. And I think it's important that it's seen by everyone the value that every player can bring on a daily basis to get us where we want to go. And so, it's kind of funny, you got the belt, we bring it around, it's at every team thing, but at the core of it, it's who we are. I want every guy every week that they're on campus striving to be the ultimate Falcon, be that guy that guys look at and be like, that's what we want to do. That's how we want to do it. We want to get after it in the weight room. We want to get after it academically. Some guys we knew were struggling. We had a week where some guys knew that he was struggling in a class and he crushed a test. And every guy knew that because he was excited about it. And they're like, you know what, you did your part academically. That's awesome. And that's where it is. And that's those things that we want it to be. And we want it to be a fun way to do it. At first, some guys kind of laugh. We've got some guys that were, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal until they won it the first time. And then you could tell it was a big deal. And, it's funny, but it's something that we've kind of embraced and went with. And like I said, we're hoping to develop a good culture. And it's that driving reminder of do the right thing, man, and keep steering this thing there. So when you come back in 10, 15 years, you're going to know you had a part to get into whatever this is and hopefully at a high level.
You mentioned it's academics or just doing it's the little things too, and it's the guys that start all the way down to the last guy on the bench that have a chance to obtain and hold on to the belt. What I like about it is you see them walking in the hallway with it. They're in the cafeteria with it. It's got its own chair. Like there's some meaning to the championship belt. And I'm talking like if you get a chance, maybe you can post a photo of it on social media in the next couple of days so fans can see. But it is a big belt. It's not, a little belt plastic, to put on your pants.
It's leather. It's gold medal and everything else. And actually, one thing that we finally are going to get a chance to roll out, which is kind of a bummer because obviously the way the season got short, we didn't have our banquet. Is we actually track not only who wins it during the year, but by class. And we have the ultimate Falcon of a class. And I guess I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. We're going to surprise Matt Corman.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
Oh no, I will. We're actually for each class's Ultimate Falcon, they're going to get their own personalized belt to keep. And so Matt, I'll be once we get back to campus and get rolling with everything, we're going to finish designing his custom belt. And it's a leather belt, metal plates, engraved photos with all his stuff in there so that he's got his belt to take with him and go. And honestly, like for me, I want that to be the thing that's strived for every year, as much as, MVP is great or most improved or these things. The two awards that I love the most on our team is Teammate of the Year and Ultimate Falcon, because that's the guys that are doing what needs to be done. Obviously, MVP, that's great. And most improved, we want that. And we want those playing things, but we want we want to do the little things right, because that will lead to all those other things. So, yeah, I mean, we want to keep the tradition of the belt going. And Matt Corman we finally had a guy graduate. So him and Braden, and it was actually a close race for those two. And but Matt pulled away, and he's our first, will be our first ultimate, enshrined class of, 2020 Ultimate Falcon. So
congratulations to Matt. And Coach, if you can, let's rewind back to March, that week before spring break. Maybe that Monday, Tuesday, you start seeing things on the East Coast. Some teams are shutting it down. Some teams you're playing on your spring break trip. Then you get to, I think Tuesday we had a staff meeting of teams that were going on spring break, what could or could not happen. And then Wednesday and then Thursday, and then all of a sudden it's done. Can you talk specifically about that week, maybe things you told you guys or things that some of your guys had said in some meetings if you want, just how that went down and how difficult it was?
Sadly, it's not the most difficult thing I've had to deal with in a coaching and volleyball career, but it's probably my second. But as far as a full team goes, it's the hardest thing we've ever had to do. It was tough. Because as a competitor and as a coach, it's on the schedule. We want to go. We want to play. We're having a great year. I wanted to get out east. We wanted to get out east and see how we stacked up out there. We had a nice mix of matches. We had a lot of, we had fun things done. Our guys worked their tails off to fundraise for that trip and, working the youth league and doing all those wonderful things. And, we just we were looking forward to it. But then we also had the realistic, look at like, this is kind of bigger than us. We don't know what it is. And we met daily. Obviously, the good thing is we were in season. We were together. I tried to be as open and fluid. I hate that word. Now that was coined the second, the one of the words we didn't want to hear, because that's what it was. And that's what we kept hearing. And I guess the hardest part for me was, never really having an answer, because I felt like as soon as we gave an answer to one of their questions, it changed, and it was ever evolving, and it was hard. You know, and we had meetings, and I'll be honest, in some of our meetings, we kind of left it at this point as it was growing. If you're not comfortable, we're comfortable with you not going. You know, we told guys like, hey, we get it. It's there. You know, I said, as a coaching staff, we're committed to you. We're committed to this trip if you guys want to go. If you're not comfortable, you don't feel safe, you don't want to go, no hard feelings. If we got 7 guys that want to go and we agree with 7 to go as a coaching staff, we will go and take you. I'm not gonna lie, I was back and forth on how I personally felt, but it was on our schedule. It was our guys' trip, and I was willing to go. You know, we actually Wednesday night had that match against MSOE when all the emails started rolling out about how our campus was going to proceed, and we had a longer than usual meeting after the match, because we kind of had the talk, you know, and actually it was about 25 minutes after our staff walked out of the gym was when the NBA announced shutting down of their season. So we took a team vote after that match, and we kind of talked about a bunch of things about how things would look, because by then the East Coast was starting to shut down. There was potential we could play, but it would be into empty gyms and different things like that. And everyone was trying to come up with a different plan. And, you know, I think the levity of the situation hit, and our guys kind of talked and said, you know, hey, Coach, we probably shouldn't do this. And so I had texted Dr. Barnhill even before the call was made to shut it down, that our guys just weren't comfortable going on the trip, that we were going to, you know, as bad as it felt, we were going to go there. And I'd been all week been in contact with all the coaches, you know, and everybody knew, you know, everybody wanted it to happen, but no one wanted it to happen, if it made sense. You know, we were all trying to be cautiously optimistic, but at the same time realizing that, you know, we have to take what's best for all of us and everyone we come in contact with into consideration. Obviously, there's no playbook for this, and that was the hardest part. Is none of these situations have ever happened to look back and go, okay, so this is how it was handled before, and went through it. But, you know, like I said, then, you know, about 25 minutes after we made the call, the NBA shut down, and then it just started to go, and then March Madness followed and things like that. When we realized that, yeah, we made the right call, and then we also kind of realized that that probably meant the end. And to say I've come to grips with it, I don't know. I still don't know if I've come to grips with everything that happened. I've been able to move forward. You know, it hurts to know that some of the last experiences some of those guys are going to get on a court, and that's where it was. And not even to what ifs. It's just, like you said, these guys put in so much work, so much effort, so much time, and to have it cut short like that, and really don't have words. And it was one of the toughest team meetings to have when we officially had to tell them it was done. And no one was surprised. It was just having to verbalize it and say it and do it. It was, you know, was hard. But our guys are resilient. You know, our guys have just flipped the script and are ready to get ready for 21 and keep working and understand that, you know, it's out of our control, and we hopefully did the best we could in the time we had, and now we just got to get ready and move on, because there's really no going back. So
a couple things I want to touch on away from volleyball. Okay. You have a pretty strong sneaker game, and then all of a sudden you're traveling softball team. I guess let's start there. How did that come to, and was it, I believe it was last year, you were out in Vegas for World Championships, I believe it was?
Yeah, the last 2 years.
It's not just little bar league stuff down the road at the local establishment. You guys, I mean, there is some talent on the team that you play. Yeah,
I was actually lucky. Softball's been part of my life. I grew up in a small community where Friday nights, the over 30 league was where everybody was. The park was hopping. So I grew up with my dad playing all the time. And as soon as I hit 18, I actually got to play with my dad for a couple of years. So I've been playing since I've been 18 back home. And I was lucky when I moved to Kenosha, I was able to hook up with some leagues. So when I moved back to take this job, I missed a summer of it, and I got the itch. But luckily met up with my cousin who lives in the Milwaukee area, and I got hooked in with them. And the guys still play serious competitive softball, and you know it's always been a fun game. I love doing it. And the year I met up with them, So the year I moved back was their first year. They went down to Vegas for U-Trip Worlds. And then the next year, so the last 2 years we've gone, and we finished essentially top 30 out of 120 the last couple of years.
Pretty good.
With a good group of guys from around the Milwaukee area. So it's a lot of fun. We've had the itch. I'm not going to lie. We've been getting out hitting, trying to do our social distancing and doing some of that stuff while we played. Actually, a weekend ago, we kind of got a sandlot game get together. We ended up having, I think, 19 guys, and two of the guys that play, their dad still plays senior ball, so he was going to ump, but he became the 20th and umped and caught for one team, but didn't hit. We got a sandlot game going. Our first league night starts tomorrow. I go up to I travel. I don't play anything close to home, so I play up in West Bend on Wednesdays and Menominee Falls on Thursdays, and Heartland. I've stepped back to sub on Mondays out there, but if you know anything about adult sports, that probably means I'm full time. But yeah, so we're trying to get. We got a tournament scheduled in Fond du Lac for Father's Day weekend. So yeah, just it's fun. I like to get outside. I enjoy playing it. It keeps me active, and the camaraderie in the game is a lot of fun. And yeah, we look forward to it. We got Vegas back on our schedule already. Trying to go back and as they say, chase the ring and see what happens.
And then I want to touch your sneaker game. You have some pretty nice Jordans that you wear during practice and around campus. I guess what's the meaning behind that, or how did that come to? Not only the Jordans too, just some really nice like leather loafers and just, I mean, you got a good shoe game.
Hey, shoe game and sock game. You got to work on it. Game day, we always got to have a sock game on point. I don't know. The shoe game kind of came to fruition because I think, or at least the Jordans, I think my wife got tired of hearing me talk about how much I like the 11s and the 12s. And I think she was worried a midlife crisis was coming. So the 11s and 12s were cheaper than a Corvette or something stupid I'd go buy like that. But no, and so I've always loved those two shoes. They're my top three, with probably the Allen Iverson question coming in third. I'm a 90s NBA guy. That's kind of when I grew up. That was my honeypot there. So I lucked out. My wife surprised me for my birthday with a pair, with the two pairs, and kind of was like, here you go. So that kind of talked me off the ledge of, a motorcycle or something crazy there. And I needed new shoes to coach on the court. They're comfortable. And then the other shoes, I don't know. I just like having good shoes on there. You got to be comfortable, got to look good. But yeah,
nice.
I do not have more than my wife. I pare them down. I just got a handful of good ones. But yeah.
Hey, if you got pair for the morning, pair for lunchtime, pair for game day, I guess it doesn't really matter as long as you got
Coach Cassidy's
comfortable feet.
This. Coach Cassidy and Coach Miller are going to really love this part of the interview.
They will.
Talk about those. So.
The last thing I want to kind of touch on is, now that we've been quarantined, or I guess the stay-at-home order, how has it been different at home? More family time obviously is important. You got the pool out. I think it was Twitter or Facebook or somewhere I saw you throwing a ball with your kid and he caught it or hit it a couple times. I mean, how important is, yes, it has been difficult being home constantly all the time, but how important is it to have this family time with a young kid and your wife and being home to experience these things, as opposed to maybe being out, 4 or 5 nights a week recruiting and playing?
Yeah. It's a positive. I'm not going to lie. It is one of the hard parts of the job, especially with a young child at home. I've enjoyed being home with my family. Obviously, I want to be on campus with the kids. I want to be doing that. But yeah, what you saw on Facebook was the first time my kid actually caught a ball in the glove. Being able to play catch with them and doing those things. As much as I love being a coach, being a dad is number one to me. I love my family. I want to be here. So it's been awesome to have that time, to just get that time that I don't normally have in the summer. I love what I do. I love the relationships we make. I love going out. I enjoy recruiting. I enjoy meeting people, but it is nice to have that time at home with our son. I got a 4-year-old. He's full of energy. So it's a good time. Obviously I want to be back to doing what we do. I'm itching to get on the court. I'm itching to get working and do those things. But I think down the road, in a handful of years, when this is gone and we've moved forward and we're back to doing what we usually do as far as our schedules, I think and the burn of some of this goes on, I think I'm going to look back on it and really cherish that portion of it. Right now, there's a lot of frustrations and a lot of different feelings that go on with it. But I think in the long run, I'm going to look back on the ability to have this time and really see it as a positive, because it does give us that time to be back where it's important with our families. I mean, I know we build our program to be a family, but in this job, sometimes there is that. And so getting to spend the time with Connor and Mallory and Bucky, our dog, has been nice. That where, like I said, I'd be in the car, in a plane right now, a lot of this time and working hard, which I love doing, and I love meeting families and those kids. But it's a good time to get out and play catch with my son and do those things and create those memories that I was able to have with my family. And we're just trying to embrace that and do that as much as we can.
All right, Coach. Thanks for joining me today, and get on that pool tonight and put some
No
cannonballs.
problem, man.
Show your kid how to do it.
All right. Take care, buddy.
Thank you.